The year was 1947. A nuclear bomb had just been developed with the help of renowned scientist Albert Einstein, and it had been used on Japan to end World War II. Now, there was a race between the US and the Soviet Union to make more nuclear weapons than the other. Through his research and work in the field, Einstein knew the power nuclear bombs could have. Einstein was a pacifist and felt a need to warn the world of the impending doom that nuclear bombs would bring. Thus, he gave one of the most famous speeches in history, the menace of mass destruction. Einstein begins by saying, "Everyone is aware of the difficult and menacing situation in which human society, shrunk into one community with a common fate, finds itself, but only a few acts accordingly. Most people go on living their everyday life, half frightened, half indifferent. They behold the ghostly tragicomedy that is being performed on the international stage, before the eyes and ears of the world. But on that stage, on which the actors under the floodlights play their ordained parts, our fair tomorrow, life or death of the nations, is being decided." Einstein's main point in giving the speech was to put nuclear weapons into perspective for ordinary people, and to try to change how we see them. Because of his research, he knew the exact potential of nukes, and having helped develop the first bombs, he felt it his responsibility to make sure no more people would die from them.
Later in his Menace of Mass Destruction speech, Einstein discusses many points that are still relevant to our time. In 1947, there were two superpowers that he refers to, the US and the USSR. He says, "As long as contact between the two camps is limited to official negotiations, I can see little prospect for an intelligent agreement being reached, especially since considerations of national prestige are bound to make reasonable progress almost impossible." Einstein was able to brilliantly grasp the truth of nuclear warfare in one sentence. No country would ever want to give up its nuclear weapons. Both sides were unwilling to stop nuclear research. It would be, as Einstein puts it, unpatriotic to make your country weak for the sake of world safety.
In talking about the problem of nuclear war as a disease, Einstein brilliantly created a metaphor when he said, "It would be different, for instance, if an epidemic of bubonic plague were threatening the entire world, be brought together, and they would work out an intelligent plan to combat the plague, after having reached agreement upon the right ways and means. They would submit their plans to the governments. Those would hardly raise serious objections, but rather agree speedily on the measures to be taken. They certainly would never think of trying to handle the matter in such a way that their own nation would be spared, whereas the next one would be decimated." Einstein was trying to prove to the world that nuclear weapons were not something to be used by one country for their own benefit, but a force capable of killing all of mankind and something that should be exterminated. He brought to shame those who would say that their country deserved to have nuclear weapons, while another did not.
During the war, Einstein worked on the Manhattan Project to develop the atom bomb. However, later, Einstein feared the effects of the atom bomb on the world. He gave his famous speech, The Menace of Mass Destruction, to deter the buildup of nuclear weapons and to support a peaceful solution. What is the impact of this speech? Look at the world today. Many more countries have nuclear weapons. Have we stopped creating nuclear weapons? Well, we have started limiting these nuclear weapons. We have passed international laws. We have taken steps with unstable countries that are creating nuclear weapons. But are we farther from nuclear devastation? The simple answer is no. Do you think Iran or North Korea will stop researching nuclear weapons anytime soon? Obviously not. Nobody wants to weaken their countries, and every leader wants their country to be a global power. As of now, 9 countries have nuclear capabilities, and that number will only grow. At this rate, it is not a matter of if, but when. When will nuclear war start? Albert Einstein was the first to voice it in his speech, but perhaps we didn't pay as much attention as we should have, and that might bring grave consequences.
How many countries have nuclear capabilities? All of them? 100? 50? 9. 9 countries. What were the 2 beginning countries with nuclear weapons? The USSR and the US, the US and England, France and Germany, Japan and Germany. The USSR and the US. What does Einstein compare nuclear weapons to? An axe, FDR, a disease, an art form. A disease. What is one reason people don't want to give up nuclear weapons? It would be unpatriotic. Nuclear weapons make them a superpower. They are the most powerful weapons ever. Or all of the above. For the most part, all of the above.